Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton here with Brandon. Not a whole lot to talk about today. Last couple of months we've been focused on Rumble, and there have been a few announcements in that time that we want to get to real quick. Firstly, in conjunction with the release of Mushoku Tensei, there will be a special PR pack distributed to stores for that set. Each pack will include one of 5 random foiled cards from the cast. None of these cards are particularly broken. There are some good profiles here. There's a 3/5 backup at level 2. There is a 0 that kills runners when they are alone on stage, and there's another 0 that uses level swap. So some decent cards here that might show up in lists, particularly that level swap. So nothing super substantial here, but at least worth mentioning. Those will be randomly distributed in 1-card PR packs at stores.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting that it's a sealed 1 card. The promotional use PR pack is essentially a mystery. I think that's really interesting. Notably, it's only 1 card, but at the same time, kind of having that search for a card kind of idea.
It'll definitely drive up the value of probably the Roxy level swap, if that is eventually used in the English meta list. Could make it a little more difficult to get something specific, but at the same time, if you go to a relatively large locals and, there are some people there who don't play Mushoku Tensei, you might be able to get them there from whoever opens them. And I also don't know how many of these packs necessarily going to be distributed. It just says that all tournament stores will receive them. So how they're distributed is still to be announced, aside from the fact they'll be going to stores.
Which I think is a really good move on Bushiroad's part to support the local game store.
Yeah, it keeps them connected to the local game store scene, because Weiss is kind of a hard game to keep on shelves and make a profit off of, so it makes sense that they want to continue to try to keep that relationship as strong as possible, try to keep players coming into stores specifically. We do have some updates to the schedule. Nothing that we didn't expect. New date for Fate Grand Order Camelot. It'll be June 3rd. That release, trial deck, and extra booster. The reprints are expected to drop in March. That is when stores are preparing to distribute them. So Slime 1 and Overlord, both getting reprints. Both of them getting new SP printings as well, with silver stamping instead of gold. Link in the description if you want more information about that. So that's the schedule. Rent a Girlfriend in February, Mushoku Tensei in March. Those reprints also probably happening in March, probably near the end of the month. Bang Dream Premium Booster in April, followed by Hololive. The Tokyo Revengers JP English dual release in May.
Which, notably for that release, they did put out an announcement saying that the card art's going to be altered for those outside of Japan. So the card art's going to look a little different for the releases worldwide, but the text should be the same currently.
Yeah, that's not unexpected. This is something Bushiroad's done many times before and will probably continue to do in the future. And then obviously once Revengers is out, Camelot drops June 3rd like we said. Only 2 sets that we have announced that we don't have dates for are Danmachi and Attack on Titan. Danmachi probably end of June. Attack on Titan, English Original, in July. Assuming that Springfest takes place sometime before the end of summer, we know what sets will be available for basically any date through the first half of this year. So whenever Springfest takes place, probably May, June is kind of what we anticipate. No announcement on that yet. We will know what will be available. I think really the only question is whether or not Tokyo Revengers and or Camelot will be out for Trio's in-person Springfest.
And kind of with that, we also don't know the card art or card text for Tokyo Revengers or Attack on Titan. So those are still kind of wild cards as we get closer to that season.
Yeah. And I say trios. We're assuming trios. I don't think that's been formally announced yet. But the assumption is that they'll be going back to their normal Springfest, which is trios, not singles. But we'll see. That being said, the next few months are really quiet on the Weiss scene. This is usually around the time when Worlds happens. And the first few months after Worlds, it's just, trios, new set releases. It's pretty quiet in terms of competitive play. So that will give players a chance to play around with things and, test out the new sets and We'll see if there is, a late winter / early spring in-store locals kind of thing that Bushiroad tries to put together, but as of right now, haven't heard anything past the current season. Also, no update on the Data Bullet supply sets, the surprise set. We expect that will drop at some point, but we don't know when yet. So for the first time in 2 months, we're going to have a really short show today. That's all we've got. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back on Thursday, 5 cards, 5 minutes for Bang, Dream Rares, and Double Rares. Next week on Tuesday, Brandon will have a deck tech and we'll have gameplay for that the following Thursday. And in 2 weeks, we'll be back with another Clock Talk, hopefully with more things to talk about. Or maybe not. It's nice to have a break from hour-long shows, not going to lie to you. So, we'll be back. Join us then. In the meantime, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.